I worked on this video, and right after my voice went out. Been 2 weeks, and honestly, I can't believe this happened. But don't worry, I will be back. I'm getting better, and until then, I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you very soon. As long as the sky has nestled upon the waves of the Mediterranean, its crystal blue waters have been home to hidden dangers. Though what lies under those waves are hard to see normally, I would happenstance to you. What is above the waves and calls this place home is just as dangerous. Made of steel, the Azure Lane Littorio battleship is a metal shark, which determines when and where to engage. Like Roma, she is able to outmaneuver her enemies by simply disappearing. And like any shark, speed is of the essence, and Littorio has it in spades. At 30 knots, she is one of the fastest little battleships you'll run into. That is, if you can see her. But with such speed comes at a cost. With a turn ratio of 810 meters, she may not turn on a dime, but then again, she was never meant to. Still, that is, if you can find her. Starting at 14.94 kilometers of detectability, a good captain can bring it down to 11.7 kilometers. You'll see the enemy long before they can see you. And just because the Azure Lane Littorio disappears off the map, do not think that she's not well equipped. Like any shark, she has her own teeth. 381mm 50 OTOs with a maximum range of 18.12 kilometers. Reload speeds of 30 seconds, with AP damage of 12,000, HE damage of 5,100 with a 24% chance. She'll be able to fire on her opponents long before they can even see her. And while she's reloading, she'll disappear back into the shadows. But even with the realities of warfare, disappearing on the map is not always an option. Luckily, Azure Lane Littorio is able to defend herself with some decent secondaries. 12 90mm 50 OTOs, 5 kilometer range, reloads at 4 seconds, HE damage at 1,300 with a 5% chance of causing fire to an enemy ship. If that was not enough, her larger secondaries are 4 152mm 55 OTOs at 5 kilometer in range, reloads at 12 seconds with HE damage at 2,100 with a 7% chance of causing fires. Azure Lane Littorio has a health of over 65,400, which is good for her tier. She has armor between 13 to 380mm in protection, with a torpedo protection / reduction of 38%. And like all great ships of the sea, Littorio does have her weaknesses. Yes, she does have weak AA aircraft guns. Yes, the torpedo protection is adequate, but she still is blind to seeing them. Her 32mm armor in the bow, the stern, and on the sides of the ship is excellent in ricocheting most shots, including those off the Vladivostok. But, although Littorio's armor is strong and can ricochet those shots, a good captain would always have to face directly towards her enemy, or angle correctly, as one single shot can lead to massive citadel damage, and in some cases can even lead to the complete obliteration of the ship itself. Okay, it's the time of the video where I'm going to give a rating to the ship I have just shown you. My rating system is kind of simple, but it does play into the larger fold of how this game plays. First of all, it's based on the fact if somebody who's never played World of Warships before hops into this ship and how long it would take them to play this ship, and if they would get tired of it, and if they can actually do anything with it. On the other side of it is actually the ability to use this for ranked matches and the ability for those skills, pros and cons of the ship, and how well you can perform if you know how to handle this ship. Now, Littorio is very much like Roma because it's the same ship practically. The armor is very good for her tier. In fact, it was one of the highest tier best armors for a very long time until the Russian battleship line came out. Because she's very similar to the Roma, the AP damage of the 381mm guns is good, but there is a catch. You see, the AP damage has a hard time trying to pin anything with 27mm armor angled, and this includes heavy cruisers, so remember that. Littorio has one of the best bows in game with 32mm armor, which basically can bounce off any shells when she's facing or angled correctly. The problem is she's not a brawler. You can be put into a false sense of security by charging towards an enemy thinking you're okay, but the minute somebody sees the size of your ship, if they get one shot in, and it's a citadel hit, and it's very easy to do, you'll find that you'll lose over half of your health. If not, you'll be completely obliterated from the match. Lastly, to keep in track, remember that her strength is not 100% her armament. It is the ability to be invisible, and this works great to her advantage if she has support ships. You can move around the match, and your enemies are going to have a hard time spotting you as they focus on the Bismarck. On the other hand, when they're all gone and you lose your Bismarck buddy, you're on your own. And the worst part about it is, again, if you're surrounded by more than one ship, it is very, very easy to be citadeled with this vessel. And just like Roma, because she's an Italian battleship, the Italian Navy has one issue in game, which is the battleships have this wide spread. So don't expect that you're going to get precision in long to mid-range combat, which is kind of contradictory considering that you've got to stay away from your opponents as long as possible. With all that said, I would say this ship is good, but you have to know your situational awareness of the match. You have to know the pros and cons of this ship and not give any broadside whatsoever. The slightest little tilt and you're in the wrong way, you're gone. I would say this ship is rated challenging. Now, with all the stats and cinematic work done with, I thought it was only appropriate that I also show you exactly what it looks like in gameplay as well. At the same time, I'm also going to give my opinions of the ship, as well as what appears to be the future of the Italian battleship line. Now, first, I'm going to get it out straight that yes, I know of the controversy between Roma and Littorio. I understand it is a copy-paste job between both ships. I understand about the community being a little bit upset about that. I get that. The fact of the matter is, I would love somebody to explain to me exactly how sap shells were going to work on a battleship and exactly how smoke was supposed to work. I heard multiple different things, and those that were testing, you know, I understand where they're coming from. But with everything that has happened, removing the controversy, if you were just to buy this ship on its own, it is a good ship. Again, it is a Roma through and through. Nothing that really changes on the ship whatsoever. One thing that is important to mention is that, unlike Roma, Littorio is not able to buy the Kobayashi camo whatsoever. So if that's something that interests you, you're going to have to go with the Roma instead of Littorio. I personally am trying to make this on the ship's own merits. And yes, she is a Roma through and through, and that means that she is quite good. She's a support battleship. She does her job. Having the ability to hide at 11.7 kilometers is amazing. It's fun. I don't know how to express that. If anything of more joy is to do that in a match and no one sees you. It's brilliant to move around the map and nobody can see you. It's brilliant to go ahead and position yourself in a way where you have the ability to determine when and where to attack the enemy, not them. It's overpowering. It feels great to do that. Now, with all that ability to disappear off the map, that's kind of a nice advantage that Roma and Littorio have. I mean, it's an excellent advantage to have. The only issue is her sides of her ship are weak. And you're going to end up in a situation where, at some point, as the battle gets drawn out more and more as the game goes on, you're going to end up in a situation where you may be spotted by somebody who's going to find your ship, and you're not going to want that to happen, because if it's on the broadside of your ship, you're probably going to take a shell hit if they know what they're doing, or if they don't know what they're doing, because the reality is it just takes a little bit of luck sometimes for them to just get enough shells to hit you on the side, which will then cause you a massive destruction of your citadel. Of course, detonation is possible, though you can mitigate that slightly. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, yeah, Littorio is a fun ship to play with, but it does take a little bit of time to know. And it's ironic that I say that because really the most understood group of battleships in World of Warships is your support class. Your American battleships are support class. Your French battleships are your support class. And now you're going to have your Italian battleships, which will be support class. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, that's fine and dandy. And I'm really looking forward for the Italian line to come out, and it looks more and more likely that they are going to be support class battleships. But putting on my thinking cap here, the experience I've had is that a lot of people don't get the concept of a support class, and I think that's going to lay up to the Italian faction as kind of in a bad situation, because a lot of people are going to look at them and just shoo them off when they are officially released. And since we already have the Julius Caesar, the Littorio, and Roma, the fact of the matter is it's interesting. But since they're all been premium ships, the question is that was it fair for Littorio to be brought out when she's clearly a Roma? And the fact of the matter, I think that could be up to a lot of discussion there for people if they have a Roma or not. Personally, I've enjoyed it. But other than that, I will be back on streaming again. I will see you very soon. And until next time, the Combatpt PT signing off.